Hello everyone, it's Professor095. It's me back again with a deck profile. I think this is probably my third Gear Chronicle deck profile. I've did Chrono Jet last time, I've did Chrono Funk last time, but not Steam Maidens. So I think this time around I'm gonna have to showcase my own real life deck profile of like Steam Maidens. So let's talk about Steam Maidens for quite a bit. I think for after the Clan Collection Volume 5 and Volume 6 added the whole new support to this deck in itself, and I think it makes the deck way much better than before, than last time. Hence, I think it's a pretty, I would say it's a best tier A or the top of tier B, not as strong as the top contender decks like Grid or something like that. But I guess this should be a very good. This is a very good deck in itself already, because it ensures you a multi attacks a lot of times. So you could probably can tell what's very good about this entire this deck in itself. So you have ensuring a lot of buying. You have to ensure that you have a lot of cards in your buying zone, and then to ensure your multi-attack skills and shenanigans and whatnot. So yeah, so without further ado, I think I'll get to the deck profile. So let's start with the grade 3s. I'll play 4 Steam Maiden Eruru. So this is so this is the main grade 3 that you have to write. And so the skill is that on main phase once per turn, you choose one card from your drop zone and you go and bind it, and you call one Steam Maiden from your buying zone and call it to the rearguard circle, so which is nice. So this is where we have to ensure you that you can bind first things first, and then you can call a Steam Maiden, and later on in this entire of this during that turn you can call a Steam Maiden, right? And so the second skill, an auto skill once per turn, at the end of the battle that your Steam Maiden attack, you bind that rearguard and you choose one grade higher of that from that particular grade from that rearguard that attack, and you call it to the rearguard circle. If you call a grade 1 by this effect, you may counter charge 1. So let's say for example my grade 2 Steam Maiden attack, and then I'm gonna use the skill once per turn, I'm gonna bind that grade 2 and I'm gonna have to call a grade 3, right? So it's essentially a free cost, which I'm gonna get into how this deck is gonna operate and whatnot. So yes, so this is the very good part of it. So you can go for the grade 0 Ururu, and then you can bind to the grade 1 Steam Maiden and whatnot, so that's quite nice. And you can get the counter charge as well. And so the second skill is that continuous, and during this turn, if for every card in your bind zone, this unit plus 1k. If this unit is on the vanguard circle, this unit plus 3k. So essentially, if let's say for example you have 5 cards in your bind zone, on vanguard it's gonna plus 15k, so it's gonna be a 28k attacker. I can reach high numbers with this. The highest I've reached is 50, 60k I think. That because I've buying a lot of this card. If you can manage to get all the necessary key cards on your hand or during your turn, it will be very nice. But on rearguard skill is also quite nice as well, because you can attack swing for 18k, which is a magic number. You could just which is quite nice as well. So this is going to be a very good attacker and a good vanguard as well. So yes, I'm very happy to get the Steam Maidens this time round, because it's Gear Chronicle, so why not? So so Eruru, 4 of Eruru, that's one. For the new grade 4s, well, I'm playing 3. You can play 2, but I feel like 3 is better, because number 1, I do it for the defense, and number 2, it's a grade 4 that essentially needs you to can bind herself after she got, so you can ensure that you can after your grade 3 Eruru attacks, you can use her skill to bind herself and bind herself and call the grade 4 out, so which is quite nice as well. So yeah, the skill is that when this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, you may choose one unit card from your drop zone, and either you go to bind it or you're going to return to the bottom of your deck, and this during this battle this gets shield plus 25k, quite nice. So there's a 25k shield, so essentially when you're being attacked, your vanguard is being attacked, that's already a 38k, so that's quite nice as well. So the second skill is that on the drop zone, when your vanguard is being attacked, you may discard a heal from your hand, and you may call this card to the Guardian Circle, so which is nice. So if you can get whatever, so if you can get to discard this card early on, if it's in your hand, so you can just discard it, and if you have a heal, you can just discard it and you call it the bind, call herself to the Guardian Circle. End of battle, she can bind herself, so quite nice as well, which is the third skill, right? At the end of the when this unit leaves the Guardian Circle, you may go and bind herself. So essentially you can call her out early. You can just like guard early with her, and then you can ensure yourself there's a grade 4 in a bind zone. And I also get to mention that since this is a grade 4, and you know, she's gonna be very useful in a lot of decks. She's gonna be useful in Chrono Jet, she's gonna be useful in, you know, Steam Maiden obviously, and she's gonna be useful in like decks like Mystery Flare, and that's quite nice. So she's quite stable this time round. But I personally play 3. I won't play 4. I think that's way too much, because like ratios is already a little bit iffy on this deck. But yeah, I say play 3 is best. If you want to play 2, it's fine as well. So I think that's quite nice. For the next grade 3s, okay, so this will be the Colossus. I don't remember what's the name of this Colossus, but he's very good. And when I fight with my friends with this particular deck, they just really hate it when I call this card during this turn. So it's gonna be a very annoying skill, right? So when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, you choose one card from your hand and bind it. And during this turn, your opponent has to guard with 2 or more cards. So it's going to be some sort of a guard restrict. So it's really annoying to, you know, to your opponents when they want to try to fight you, especially when the hand cards are just this low, and when they can manage to push them to, like, you know, 4 to 5 damage. With this one, this is going to be very nasty. So I guess 2 is enough. Originally I played 4, but I felt like the entirety of this ratios, because I need to make rooms for the rest of this deck, so I think 2 is enough. And so yeah, quite a good card, and I really like it. So yeah, so it's very annoying to face this card during that turn. So you have to, because you have to force your opponent to guard 2 or more, which is like very nasty, right? So that's done for now. So I'm gonna go to the grade 2. So this is Steam Maiden Aruru. When this unit is placed on the Rearguard Circle from your bind zone, you choose one card from your drop zone and bind it, and for every grade that you bind with this effect, this unit plus 3k. So let's say, for example, that you call herself from the bind zone to the Rearguard, and say that you bind a grade 3, that's 3 times 3, that's a 9k. So it's essentially she gets a 9k. If you bind a grade 1, she gets a 3k. Well, if you bind a grade 4, that's going to be a 12k, so which is nice. So so she's a 22k attacker, and if you play a Force 1 on her, she's gonna be a 32k, which is like very, very nice. So that's very, very good about this part of this particular deck in itself. So that's the first skill. The second skill is that at the end of the battle that this unit attacked, if you have a Steam Maiden Vanguard, you counter blast 1 and you bind herself, and you choose a grade 3 from your bind zone and Spirit Call it, so which is nice. So this is what I meant by the ensuring of the multi-attacks, which I'm gonna get to the combos later on. And so yeah, that's the Steam Maiden Aruru, and I play 3 Steam Maiden Antelanum. So skill, when she is placed on the Vanguard or the Rearguard Circle, counter blast 1, you search your deck for up to 1 Gear Cat, and you call it in the same column, and you shuffle your deck, so which is nice. So you get to ensure yourself a Steam Maiden Searcher for the grade 1, the Gear Cat, is going to be in the same column, so which is quite nice. And you get a 18k column already on your during your, you know, probably on your like first grade 2 turn or something like that, so which is quite nice as well. And second skill, on the Rearguard Circle, at the end of this battle, that she is boosted, so you have to boost her. You have to Soul Blast 1, you look at the top 2 cards of the deck and choose 1 card into your hand, and the rest to the bind zone, so which is nice. So another card that can ensures you a draw and also a bind, so which is nice. People play 4, I personally play 3. Then again, I just didn't know what to kick out, and I just personally really wanted to play this. But you could say that, let's say that you can kick out the grade 4 and you exchange for the, like, 1 more grade 2, and I think that's fine as well. So she's a very nice card, and she's a Steam Maiden as well, so you can ensure there's some Steam Maiden in your hand, and you can ensure that multi-attack combo on the go, so it's fine. I play 3 Lost Age Dragon, Vanguard Rearguard skill. When this unit is placed from hand to the Vanguard of the Rearguard, you bind 1 card from your hand and you draw 1, so which is nice. You can get to ensure a draw and you get to bind, so which is nice. So second skill, continuous. During your turn, if you have a face or card in the bind zone, and this unit plus 3k, so there's essentially a 13k attacker. So I play this card, it's quite nice, I like it. So it's fine. It's just to ensure that all the bind zone needs to be there as well. And so the next grade 2 I'm playing is Steam Mechanic Nabu. So Nabu's skill is that when she attacks the Vanguard, you choose 1 card from your drop zone and you go and bind it. And during this battle, your opponent cannot use grade 1 or higher to guard. So yeah, it's a very good guard restrict card. And Nabu is also quite a staple for most Steam Maiden decks, because she can bind from the drop zone and she also can get for the bind restrict. So you can see the pattern here is that all of these cards here is going to, like, most of my grade 2s is just going to ensure that you can get a bind zone. And oh wait, I forgot to mention that at the end of battle that she attacks, she can go to the soul and draw 1, so which is quite nice. So you can ensure a lot of draws, and you can ensure that you can have a lot of bind zone in this deck itself, which kind of like fixes the hand size issue of this deck last time, because last time before the whole support came in with like the Gear Cat, Entelana, and Eruru, and the Steam grade 4 Ururu, most of the hand size is just like iffy and you can't really defend much. But with this entirety of the new support at hand, I think it's going to be it makes the deck so much better this time around. So yeah, moving on to the grade 1s, I think this is Steam Maiden Iruru. So Iruru's skill is on the main phase. Once per turn, you soul blast 1 and you choose 1 grade 2 or less card from your hand and you go and bind it and you draw 1. If you bind a trigger for this effect, you draw 1. So it's this is going to probably be your first right target on your grade 1 right, because if you can manage to get Ururu, or if you get any trigger on your hand during your first turn, you can essentially get to draw 2, which is quite nice. Although you have to bind 1, but it's okay. You can get to, if you can bind Ururu, that will be perfect, and you can draw 1. And if you bind a trigger for this effect, you also get to draw 1. So that's nice. So Rearguard second skill is that auto Rearguard skill. At the end of this battle that this unit attacked, if you have a Steam Maiden Vanguard, counter blast 1, bind herself, and you call a grade 2 and use prayer call. So essentially, after she attacks on the Rearguard, she can counter blast 1, bind herself, and then you can call in the grade 2 out here, and then yeah, you get the drill, right? So that's just the Steam Maiden card. Okay, Iruru, and this is the Gear Cat. This is the new support. You combo with Entelana. So then when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, doesn't matter if it's from hand or from your deck, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and you find 1 Steam Maiden card from among them, reveal it and put to your hand, and the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order. So essentially, what's so good about this Steam Cat is that this Gear Cat is that if you have probably a lot of the Gear Cats early on in your game, you can search all the Steam Maidens that you need, and then you get to put to your hand, and you get to have a lot of a lot of cards to bind on, to bind later on or whatnot. You can use it to guard, you can use it to bind and whatnot. So it's quite nice to have this have a Steam Maiden searcher for this kind of early game. So that's quite nice as well. The second skill is that Rearguard, when this unit boosts, this unit plus 1k for every card in your bind zone, which is nice. So if you have let's say 7 cards in your bind zone, so essentially now he's a 15k booster. So yeah, quite nice. The Gear Cat is quite such a staple for a lot of decks already in this deck, and the Steam Maiden decks, right? So which is quite nice. And so I play 3 Lost Gear .8. This is just to ensure me that I can dot to break when I don't have a grade 3 Erurus in my hand. So if I can say, let's say for example, if I have a grade 4 or grade 3 in, if I have Ururu or the Colossus in my hand, I can just call or write early on, reveal it, and just find a grade 3. Or another addition to what I can do with this card is that even if I have an Eruru in my hand, I can just call it out, reveal it, grade 3, and then you search your deck for another grade 3, and then you just search for a grade 3, and then I just discard the grade 3, just because you need to ensure like you can bind it early on, later on with her skill or any other skill, like let's say for example Nabu, because she can like bind one card from the bind zone, so which is nice. Yeah, so I think that's all for the grade 1. Sorry for the lighting, I think the lighting is but you get the idea, right? The lighting is kind of a little bit bright on this one, I have to adjust for a little bit. Yeah, I think this will make a difference. But anyways, let's go to the triggers. So 4 draw triggers. I think, like I said, even though this deck fixes a lot of like the draw issues for this particular deck in itself, I think draws triggers are the best triggers, best defensive triggers, PG triggers for this deck itself. So 4 draws definitely, and 4 heals, Ururu. I don't play the heal guardian in this deck because I just want to get as much Ururu early as early as possible. So if I can manage to like draw any Ururu during my my first turn hand, and then I can just use the grade 1 skill, Iruru skill, Soul Blast 1, you go and bind her, and then I can ensure there's a Steam Maiden already in my bind zone. So I play 4 of her just to be safe. But and another variation is that you can play 2 of these unplayed and play 2 of the heal guardians. So I think that's fine as well. So which is it's up to you. But personally, I just want to play 4 because like it's a Steam Maiden first things first, and I can just look for and Gear Cat can probably just to search it out if I don't have it in the first place. So yeah, 4 crits, Ring Worker, 4 Ring Worker, and 4 Steam Bomber Deagle, 8 crits of course, and 1 Primordial Draco Kit. So yeah, that's about the whole deck list of this particular deck. I'm gonna show you like one of the few important combos in this deck. So you have essentially what this deck you have to do is that you just have to ensure that you have all of the important grade the Steam Maiden grade ones from grade 0 all the way to up to the grade 3. So I'm gonna show you how the combo goes, and I'm gonna like show you how this thing is going to work, just to ensure very much more optimization play. Alright, so now the deck's completely shuffled. I'm just gonna have to draw 5, so I'm just gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, that's not a very good hand, so I'm just gonna like have to return. You don't have to keep the Great Falls for now, but I can need to keep these 2. So let's say I'm gonna have to draw 3. Okay, that's quite nice, but not as ideal as I thought, but it's still okay. It's fine as well. So once you can get the idea of like how you want to like play this card, and yeah, so there's that. So let's say for example, if I want to say I'm going second, I'm gonna have to draw 1, and I can write this Steam Maiden, and then you get to draw 1 as well. So I get a draw trigger, which is perfect, quick shield. And so the most nice thing about it is that when you have the grade 1 and you felt like, okay, there's no Steam Maiden grade 0, I want to bind Ururu. Okay, so it's fine as well, but it's okay. So you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and you get an Ururu, which is nice. So so you got to put it the Steam Maiden and the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. And so you can get to use Ururu skill, and you get to Soul Blast 1, and then you choose 1 card from your hand, and you bind it, and you get to draw 1. So if you bind a card trigger effect for this, you get to draw this one as well. So this too has to be like, if you don't have a very good cards to bind during this early game on, I think you can bind the grade 2 as well, but like I really like it if I can bind Ururu on the first turn. So it's kind of like a very good combo with each other. So let's say I'm gonna have to swing with the 8k, I'm gonna swing with this one, and you try check, and there's a crit for Ururu, so that's nice. Let's say I'm gonna have to take 1 damage, and that's a crit, and so my opponent has the turn, and you get to draw 1. And I draw Ururu again, I can probably, let's say for example, I'm gonna have to write Aruru, and I can have to retreat this one. And then for early game on, you can probably just like call another Aruru, and then you kind of have to call Nabu on here, and then you can basically do your shenanigans. You can swing with Aruru first, try check, critical trigger, probably like say crit the empower here, and then you can swing, and now you can use Nabu skill and bind grade 2, and now your opponent cannot use grade 1 or higher, so now it's just essentially swinging for like 28, 29, 30, because he can Gear Cat can boost already early on, so it's a 30k, and yeah, so if your opponent can't guard that, it's fine. It's very nice as well. So at the end of the battle, you can move to the soul and you get to draw one as well. Okay, so you know, opponent's turn, you know, you probably like damage checks this one, or like let's say for example, I just have to guard with like, I don't know, probably a 15k to guard. I get another one and get Gear Cat, and then to pass the turn, you can get to stand and draw, and then up and you have Eruru, and then you write Eruru. So for this deck, I'm gonna have to play Force 1. If you want to play Force 2, go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you, but hey, Force 1 is probably the best, and I highly recommend you to place it on the rearguard circle and not on the vanguard, because that's where the whole bulk of the issue of the right line is the attacks is gonna be. So let's say I'm gonna call Entelana skill. You just have to look for Steam Maiden, and you can call this one out, Gear Cat. I'm just gonna shuffle the deck for a bit, and then you know, yeah, it's fine. And then you have to look at Gear Cat, and then you look top 3, and there's a Steam Maiden, and then you put to your hand, and the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order as well. And so let's say for example you want to call Eruru, and then you just have to call whatever card on top of it. That's fine. So Steam Maiden, so Eruru's deck, you should skill. The first skill, you just choose one card from your bind zone and you can call it, and then you just call over the Eruru, and there you go. So that's where you can go for the battle phase. So let's say I'm gonna have to swing with Eruru first. So she's swinging for 15k, and then at the end of the battle that she attacks, since Ururu doesn't have her own skills like Iruru and Aruru does, so you have to use her skill that she has to bind herself, the second skill that bind herself, and then you choose one grade higher, and you have to a spirit call. Yep. So that's about it. Yes, so she's gonna, and if I call a great one for this effect, I get to get the counter charge, so that's nice. So you can swing for an 18k, then the cycle continues. You can bind a grade 2 after that, and then you can bind a grade 2 from your bind zone, so it essentially gets 6k. So now I don't have a grade 3, but that's how the flow goes. Like, so if you can continue to attack, and then you have a grade 3 in your bind zone, so you can bind Counter Blast and bind herself, and then you can just call it out, and which is nice. Which is when you call a grade 3. So let's say for example I don't have a grade 3 this turn, I have to swing drive, first check, crit, probably like crit to the Vanguard and power to Entelana or something. Okay, so that's a grade 3 ensured. So you can swing for like, you know, in 28, 29, 30, 31, and then end of the battle she's boosted, you can Soul Blast any Steam Maidens. As if you can Soul Blast any Steam Maidens in your soul, that would be quite nice as well. And then you look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Oh, unfortunately there's a one crit in my hand and I have to bind this one, so that's sad, but it's okay. So yeah, so that's the whole flux of it. And then it's also important that if you can probably, like, if you have the counter blasters, if you have all the counter blasts to spare, I think you can repeat all of the for all of the attacks that I say. For example, and that I mentioned, let's say for example, if you have all of the necessary grades in your bind zone. Let's say for example I have all the grade 3 and grade 4s and whatnot, and you have like a few Irurus lying around, and so as much as your counter blast could spare you, you can probably like do like up to 8 attacks. I tried. I think you can probably go beyond that. So let's say for example I swing for no, but I probably have to swing with Iruru first. So you can use the steel, counter blast 1, bind herself, and then you call the grade 2, and then you just choose one grade. I don't know. Let's say I bind a grade 2 from my bind, drop enter the bind, and then Iruru attacks, and then she can use this first steel, bind herself, and then you call her, and then you can counter charge 1, and then you can swing again for Aruru, counter blast 1 again, bind herself, and then you can call a grade 3, and yeah, and then you can have grade 1 attack, and then you can counter blast 1, bind herself, and then you call a grade 2, and then that's how the whole cycle goes. If that's a grade 3, bind herself, and then you call a grade 3 as well. So it's quite nice. So you can see like there's a lot of like probably like 6, 7 and to 8 attacks, I guess, maximum. I tried. But if you can go beyond that, go ahead, and you can probably just DM me or like your combos and whatnot. And you could you have to understand as well, and it is one also important part to keep note, is that since Eruru's first skill is only like workable or like once per turn, so it's, if you have to start with a grade 0, that means that your first skill have to be used on the grade 0, and you can only go up to grade 3. However, let's say for example if you are in a grade 1 and you have 10 swings. Since they can have their own skill to bind themselves, just do as much as possible. You can call it for grade 2, and then she attacks, counter +1, bind herself, and then you call it grade 3. And then you call it grade 3, and then after that, let's say for example, you have your attack, and then you use Eruru's first skill and bind herself, and then you can call the grade 4, so which is quite nice. So you essentially ensure yourself that you have the go with whatever routes possible. If you have the counter blasters to spare, let's say for example you have to go for since Eruru's skill has only once per first skill is once per turn, so you have to either choose you want to go for the 0, 1, 2, 3 route, or you go for the 1, 2, 3, 4 route. So either way is fine. Just to keep note that she's only once per turn, so you cannot like do it twice. So that's the whole part of this, how this combo should go, and if it's quite necessary for you to like bind all of the cards. So which is why like there's a lot of cards that could help you to bind as well early game. So like the Colossus could help you for and or the Lost Age Dragon could help you, Nabu could help you. So that's all of the necessary key cards that you need to have early on in your game. So I guess that's the whole essence of this deck in itself. So you can have a multi Steam Maidens. Well, yeah, so I guess I should conclude the video here. So okay, so what are my final thoughts of this deck? Okay, so final thoughts of this deck, I think this is a much more better deck than Chrono Jet, honestly, and Chronofang, because this is essentially a very multi-attack decks. Gear Chronicle, you could say this is a pseudo time leap deck, because you can on the bind zone and then call themselves one way or another. So I think this is such a very nice deck to play with. You can combo with. I think that's also quite nice as well. And so if you can get your hands on this deck, I highly recommend you to get it, especially if you're a gear player, for example, or like let's say if you're a gear player, if you really want to try Gear Chronicle, you can pick this deck up, and I can guarantee you will not be disappointed in this deck. I really love this deck. I played this deck way more than my Chrono Jet at this point, because I felt like this card is like so many goals. Of course you break once in a while, but I find that most of my games is pretty consistent, provided you can get the cards at the right time. So I think that's all for my deck profile of Gear Chronicles, like a Steam Maiden deck. So if you really enjoy my content, if you enjoyed my video, please do like and subscribe, and probably you want to share this video to some of your friends. And yeah, I think that's all for my deck profile review for like the Steam Maiden deck. So this has been Cryptfluencer095 signing out. See you next time.